everyone, my name is Kaefer Garcia and welcome to The Legal Blend, where we have conversations regarding family law, real estate law, and immigration law. And today we have a very special guest. I'd like to introduce you all to Alexa Micciulli from ERA Justin Realty in Rutherford, New Jersey, correct?
That's right, yep.
And Alexa, can you tell us a little bit about yourself, how you got into the business, things like that?
Sure, yep. So my name's Alexa, as you know, or Ask Alexa, as you may heard. Been in the business for a couple years now, and it all started with, growing up in New Jersey and always being, I guess, interested in real estate, in the housing market. And, we've come a long way since 2020 when everything started to explode around us. So if you're in the market day to day, you will know it's pretty crazy out there, especially in our area of northern New Jersey. Went to Montclair State University. My degree is actually in fashion. I was a merchandiser for many years. I learned everything from like visual displays. I touched on wholesale sales, fashion, and honestly, I would say the biggest takeaway from being in fashion to now being in real estate is learning how to negotiate, and also just being in the people business, because like fashion and merchandising, it's all about communication, and being a realtor, that's pretty much what we do about 99% of the time.
But so fashion, I have to stop you right there, right? So fashion into real estate, how did that jump happen?
So basically I woke up one day and I said, this is just not for me. Something is missing and I'm not really feeling fulfilled in what I'm doing. And although, money was great, it was, long nights working in the city, which maybe not so great, learned so much, but there was a part of me that wanted to help people more. And although I was helping, the CEO and the company grow their business, it wasn't, fulfilling enough for me. And made the transition into real estate, didn't really, know what to expect. But I've always been a worker bee, and I finally found my niche within real estate. So I've been really lucky to pursue it full time. And so far it's been amazing first couple years in the business. And, I'm really excited to see what's to come.
Perfect. And before we delve into today's episode, which by the way, is the relationship, I'm calling it, right? Attorney, realtor relationship.
Right.
But before that, I definitely want to highlight to our viewers, an idea with the podcast that we have is highlighting a local coffee shop, which I know you love coffee as well, correct, Alexa? Okay. So you might know this one. This one is roasted on Route 17 in Hasbrook Heights. Personally, one of the coffee houses I just found out about, and I'm raving about it, as I was telling you before.
Yeah.
Have you tried it?
Yes, and one thing I will say is it's definitely strong. So if you like strong coffee, which I really do, it's great, and they have really awesome special lattes with all the syrups and flavors that you could ever dream of.
We love it. Local business, 117. Help me out, Alexa. South, right?
It's
South.
on the south side.
South side. Yeah.
Yep.
So definitely
Yeah.
walk in there. My favorite drink there is mudslide or hazelnut latte. But definitely shout out to them. Definitely stop by. You'll be in for a treat.
Mudslide, that sounds amazing.
It is. It's a mixture of hazelnut and mocha. My two
Okay.
favorite flavors. If you ever want to grab me coffee,
Okay, I'll bring it the next time I come here, but I'm gonna have to loop around and then go back north, so that's okay.
Yeah, but amazing coffee. And actually, we have a bag right here. If anyone is interested, definitely we'll leave something in the bio to tag them, and you can follow them as well.
Sure.
But we were talking about the relationship. Right. So tell me a little bit about why should anyone thinking about selling or buying hire a realtor? Isn't it necessary? Do we need you?
Yeah, so in some way, shape, or form, you do need someone to represent you, or you really should, and I'll tell you why. What you need to do is hire a realtor, not an agent, right? So the difference is realtors belong to National Association of Realtors, and we are held to a different code of ethics, higher standard, more education. So it's important to, when you're looking for the agent, make sure they're a realtor and not just a real estate agent. So, it's different on the buy side versus the sell side, but what is the common thread I would say is, we're your advocate. Whether it's your first time buying a home or, maybe you haven't sold a home in 20 years. It's way different now, okay? It's way different. So just like when you're sick, instead of the doctor, right, you don't just go to WebMD and self-diagnose by looking online, right?
You'd be surprised nowadays, but I get you.
Right.
Yeah.
Not the way to do things. You're going to think you're dying and you're not, right? So
Right.
that's why maybe, if you're considered being a for sale by owner, which, kudos to anyone that does that, you could be maybe leaving a lot of money on the table. You're not guided. You don't know market value. You're not in the day-to-day thick of things. And you really need that advocate. Same thing on the buy side, right? First-time home buyer. There's so many things. You don't even know where to start. There's not that much education out there, and you really need to find that realtor to educate you from start to finish. And, we're there to guide you, lead you, be your therapist when you need it, because things get hairy, right? Things can be very stressful, but we make it out alive. And whether, deal goes through or not, we, are on to the next if we need to be, and no one gets hurt. So if you want to save time, hire a realtor, okay? Otherwise, you're just going to be on Zillow for hours and hours, and you might not even be pre-approved. You might not even know that you need to be pre-approved to get a mortgage. So a lot of things, and we could talk about it for so long, so I'm just going to cut myself off right there because there's a lot of reasons.
No, I mean, from personal experience, and we've been working for how long about now?
About 3 years.
3
we've been
years,
working
right?
together.
3 years together. Good 3 years, from my perspective.
For sure. Yeah, for sure. We've come a long way.
But whenever there's a deal, a transaction without a realtor, I immediately say, oh no. Why, right? Because realtors are there to make everybody's lives easier, including mine as the attorney. Because there's certain things that the clients can go to you for, right? We give legal advice, we represent them, look at the contract, all that. But I feel like you are kind of the glue that holds everybody together, right?
Correct. We're the glue, right? So we're talking to every single party involved. Attorney may not be, they don't need to be, right? We have to make sure all the ducks are in a row and that we stay on this timeline. So I'm constantly communicating, right? Number one thing we talked about before, to every party, telling everyone what to do, what to expect, especially with buyers and sellers, what expectations, you guys have, and how we're going to get to the closing table, right? There's a lot of things that could be very confusing if you're not working with one and you just don't know what to expect is coming next.
And I'm glad you touched upon that, because I think it's a good transition to let's kind of walk our viewers through a general overview, right? So I'm a customer, a person looking to buy or even sell, right? And I go to you and say, hey Alexa, I saw your amazing social media that you have, and I want to buy or sell. What's my first step as a buyer, let's say? What do I do?
Okay, sure. So, it depends where you are in the process. So a lot of people, maybe they've been looking for a long time, or they just woke up and decided they wanted to buy a home. So if someone reaches out to me directly, the first conversation I'm gonna have is, okay, do you need financing? Are you paying cash? Well, where are we with this? And then at the same time, I'm also finding out what's your why, right? Why do you want to buy a house? What's your current situation? And, knowing those things, everyone has a different journey. Maybe you're renting, maybe you're living at home with parents. Maybe you don't know that, your credit needs to be worked on before you could get a loan, right? So it's very important. It's great that you realize you want to buy, right? So whether you start reaching out to a lender as your first step or agent, it's fine. Either way, whoever you want to talk to first is good. But just make sure you do your research, because we know real estate agents, there's a low bar of entry to become a real estate agent. So that's why you want to find the right realtor to work with, who can then guide you to maybe a good lender that they've worked with before that they've had success with. That can be, part of a very easy journey to buy a home, right? If you're constantly going through a lot of different realtors and lenders, you're wasting time. So it's important to know who you're working with, research them, make sure it's somebody who's in the market day to day. Lender too, right? And I'll say the same for a real estate attorney as well.
A takeaway from this, right? If I'm a buyer, what are the top 2 things or top 3 things I should look for in a realtor to have success in this home buying process that sometimes is very difficult from what we hear, right?
Sure, I would say some of the top things. Number one, communication, right? You need to be able to communicate with them freely and openly. I should know, what's on your mind at all times, buyer. I want you to be honest and open. Also, there needs to be some chemistry. If, we have different personalities, maybe it's not going to work out, and that's okay. Because you need to have someone that's going to be your partner in this. We're going to be best friends, buyer, for maybe 4 months, maybe 5 months, maybe a year. So we need to like each other. We have to have that chemistry. That'll get us to the closing table, right? A lot of other important things too, but I think that chemistry and the vibe has to be good for client and agent. Other important things are understanding the market, right? You need a realtor that understands today's market, which comes with many, many, many cautions and stories and stats of sort of what's going on. And maybe you realize it's not the right time to buy for you in this type of market, right? And sometimes you just need an honest realtor to have that conversation with you, right? Because some realtors, not all realtors, right? You want to make sure that they have the right, I would say, you want to make sure that they want what's best for you, whatever that is.
A lot of people don't know, right? The behind the scenes, the back end. So I just want to highlight a little bit about how many times would you say you speak to the real estate attorney during this beginning process or throughout the whole transaction?
Yeah.
Is it frequent? Is it not frequent?
Having an attorney in a real estate transaction is very important. Some parts of the states don't require it. So even in New Jersey, South Jersey, people go unrepresented, which, I'm glad North Jersey, we always have attorneys working on the transaction. It's really important, and I'll tell you why. Once we get our offer accepted, right, fingers crossed, they take the contract that I wrote and just rip it up. They completely rip it up.
We do not. We do it in a nice way.
Right.
In a nice way.
But, what that means is now buyer works directly pretty much with agent right there on the sideline, and they create this rider, right? Rider is legal binding document, which, this is coming from me, not kind of how you would say it, but generally speaking, rider becomes gold now. So it's really important for the buyer to understand that your legal representation is so important because, first of all, this buyer has to get approved by both parties, and then we can move on, right? So it's very important that attorneys on the buy side and the sell side communicate and everyone feels good about everything, and then we can, move on to the next step. And next steps, we could start talking about, why it's important to have your attorney knowing exactly what's going on with home inspections, because they really help us negotiate when it comes to credits, what should be fixed, what shouldn't be fixed. And then you guys play a big role in title and working with them. And then, in a nutshell, getting to the closing table, they finally get to maybe see you in person for the first time at the office, and we celebrate from there. But a lot of things happen in between, and that's just the buy side.
Yeah, correct. Because, a lot of people don't realize or don't know, I speak with you on a transaction, if not every day, every other day.
Right. Oh, that's the question you asked me. How often do we communicate? Right. Pretty much, I don't know, 500 times a day.
Yeah.
We're constantly texting, calling, emailing, and maybe we have a couple deals going on. Maybe it's just one deal that we're talking all day about. But realtor and attorney have to have a good relationship. And sometimes we don't get to pick who you guys use, right? We can say, I really like working with Attorney Garcia. He's amazing, right? But if, your uncle's a real estate attorney, and you want to use him, that you're free to use whoever you want. Again, just like not every realtor is created equal, not every attorney is created equal. And when there's not good communication, because we have to discuss things, very often, sometimes things get delayed. Or if attorney and client aren't on the best terms, then, things maybe could fall apart from there.
Yeah, no, and I think it's important because at the end of the day, like you've said previously today, the realtor you choose and the attorney you choose is very important. I think they guide the tone of the transaction.
Yeah, I think that's
But
true.
people don't know. For example, I remember one time you called me, we need to get a rider out, and I think I was on the way to Broadway show, right? And because I know the way you work and because we both value our clients, we get it done. Same thing with you. You've gone above and beyond to check a garage if it was vacated, if it was vacant before closing. So I think that communication is key, and that relationship is key because we're serving our mutual client, right?
Right.
But tell me, are there any points in the transaction where you would say, off the bat, a realtor should be used because if you don't use a realtor, this could happen? What's the first thing that pops into your head?
Okay, so first thing that pops into my mind is, if you go unrepresented and you're buying something, right? How do you know that the purchase price is really market value? Maybe you're not educated, or it's really hard for you to pull similar comps the way we can, guide you and make you feel good about your decision to probably pay over asking in this market. We really weigh a lot of the pros and cons and let you know that, maybe there were 20 offers on a property. And if you're going unrepresented, you may not know, how high you need to bid. And realistically, maybe you only want to live in the home for 3 years and then you want to sell. If it's already going, 100K over asking, maybe that's not a conversation you could have with someone that would be your realtor, but you don't have a realtor. So you don't really know who to consult if it's something like that we're seeing in today's market. And, I was looking at statistics, and almost 90% of people did hire an agent in their real estate transaction this past year. So, I mean, it pretty much most people do. For sale by owner, right? We still see that. And on that side, same thing in a different way. Are you leaving money on the table? Yes, maybe you're listing on your own because you want to, not pay realtor commission, right? I get that. But a million realtors will tell you, and it really is true, when we know what you need to net, there's a way for us to figure out, okay, well, I could still get you that amount with paying the commission, right? So I would say today's day and age with, Zillow, internet, everything, you might feel like you have the tools to sell it yourself, but then when you go and try, you really see how hard it is, especially if you work a full-time job. This will take over your entire life trying to sell your home, and you have emotional attachment to it, right? We don't have emotional attachment to your home. We're going to fight for you as your advocate, but it's completely different.
Gotcha. No, that makes sense. It makes sense because people have lived there 10, 15 years, 20 years. They grew up there. Their parents may have, I don't know, passed away there, their grandparents, all those things. So,
Yeah.
like you said, being an advocate, you
Right.
are an advocate. You are an advocate because you look at it, I would say, objectively,
Right.
right? Not
Exactly.
subjectively.
So as on the selling side, I think the biggest thing is maybe leaving money on the table, and then again, not knowing all the steps. Like, for example, many people don't realize that you need a CO to close a home. That generally falls on the selling side, right? So if we don't know what CO is, continued occupancy, you need to get a certificate from the town. They're going to come in and inspect your house. What if, you were supposed to close tomorrow and you forgot about that? Your agent's not there to consult you and maybe even point you in the direction of a handyman who can help, install smoke alarms and carbon monoxide for you if you're not able to get to the property, you don't even live in the state. This happens a lot. So, we're always there to guide when it comes to those things because that's part of our checklist.
Before we were filming today, I met a few people, even from our office, and they said, make sure you touch upon two things that we get clients calling about all the time, right? One, I know you know what it is, inspection, and two, appraisals nowadays, right? So let's talk a little bit about inspection. We got a lot of questions. I think the majority of them are about inspection. And would you ever buy a property as is? By as is, if I could explain to the viewers, is even though you get an inspection done, right? You hire a home inspector and get an inspection done on the property. As is means you're buying the property as is. If it has defects, if it has any issues with structural issues, environmental issues, or mechanical issues, right? When is it ever appropriate to buy a property as is?
Yeah, I actually don't even believe in as is, and I'll tell you why. So anyone can put on the MLS, any agent can put on the MLS that the property's as is, right? We've had situations where buyers buying it as is, we find a couple things during inspection because it's our legal right to do that. We're still going to have a home inspection. And, we asked for a couple things, and in good faith, seller actually did give us a small credit to fix certain things. Most homes are used, unless you're buying a new home, which there could still be issues with inspection. Actually, it is very common. You're still going to do your inspection, and even if it's as is, if we find something major, right, it's our legal right to back out. Buyer can back out. So what does as is really mean?
Right. No, definitely. And it all depends on the rider, what the rider states, right? Rapid fire. First thing that comes to your mind, what is a big no-no, a big don't do regarding home inspection? Go.
Don't waive it completely. Don't waive it completely. Even if you're an investor, you're going to flip the house, you're going to change everything. Always just have one or two contingencies. For your educational purposes only, you're doing one, right? You're doing an inspection just to have your own checklist of what you need to fix. And then second thing, just do an oil tank sweep. You don't want to find an abandoned tank because if you do, even if it was decommissioned, it could still leak, contaminate soil, and your butt could be on the line for, worst case scenario, $200,000. It goes into the neighbor's soil. We don't want that. So that would be my recommendation. Don't waive it completely.
And then if we go into appraisal, right? So if you have a mortgage, most of the time, most mortgage lenders require you to get an appraisal, which is the evaluation or the valuation of the property. So when there were bidding wars a few months ago, and even there's some bidding wars still now, right?
Oh yeah,
Always.
and it's going to get bad again.
It's going to get bad again.
So they're saying it's going to be like 2020 all over again.
So we're going to see appraisal waivers and all that more so now.
Right. Actually, I'm still pretty much all the homes that we're putting offers in at, or when I'm on the selling side, if there's multiple offer situation, there's appraisal waivers in there. Whether it's capped or full appraisal waive, meaning, right, if people don't know what this means, bank's going to tell you what the house is worth. If it's less than the purchase price, you're promising to pay that back out of pocket. That's coming out of your money, and that's why a seller wants to maybe accept your offer as opposed to another offer that came in higher purchase price with no waive, because you're at least getting that liquid that the person's going to come out of pocket for. It's a guarantee, and that's how I have to explain this to first-time home buyers, maybe, or someone new to the market, as to why they should be doing it.
Let's talk about appraisal waiver, right? Because it comes up a lot in our conversations with clients, and it's a way to get your offer accepted, wouldn't you say?
Right. It makes you look super competitive because seller wants that promise that they're going to get the purchase price that you're promising.
Gotcha. So again, I became a lawyer because I am not good at math. So if we could walk our viewers through it, let's give an example, a hypo.
Yeah.
So I'm a buyer, you're my realtor, and the house is on the market for $500,000 purchase price.
Okay.
And I come to you and I say, I really want the home. Should I offer $550,000? But then you say, let's say, what do you think it's going to appraise for, let's say, in this example?
Right. So, okay. So maybe I did some research hypothetically. and let's say they listed it a little low at 500. I'm seeing comps around more the 520 range as opposed to the 550 range. So two things, right? I could suggest that you waive appraisal completely with, the where you want to go at 550, but if we're a little bit unsure that it's only going to appraise at 520, then my suggestion would be completely waive the appraisal at 520, or other option, put in a purchase price of 550 and then only waive it for really what exactly we think it's going to come in at. So you could put a cap on it, right? Okay. So we could waive it, let's say it appraises for 530, right? And we put a purchase price of 550 with a 20K cap.
Okay.
We would be fine, right?
Right, because we thought it would be at 550, so we're only on the hook for 550.
Right, exactly. So, no one wants to waive an appraisal. I don't love to, scream it through the mountaintops that we have to, but when there's a multiple offer situation, we might not have a choice, right? If there's 5 offers that come in and, everyone's over asking significantly, but only one person is over asking and waiving it, that person's gonna get it. So if you really don't have the money to waive it completely, or we're a little iffy, we put the cap on. You're okay with losing $10,000. Listen, I don't want you to, and I'm gonna fight for it. If we see comps that are in that general range, if it does under appraise, of course we will challenge it if we could prove it. But the reason I don't love appraisals is because it's really is someone's educated opinion about a house, right? But this is just the reality of 2024, and we kind of started to see it in 2020. Most buyers are gonna have to waive appraisal, especially when they're buying a multi-family home, things that are super attractive right now, super competitive.
Gotcha.
Sort of the only way, I would say, with a couple other terms that are somewhat aggressive as well.
And we see appraisal waivers, and obviously we're another layer of protection. When you tell me there's an appraisal waiver, I also talk to the clients and explain to them, are you sure? Because once they sign that contract and it's under contract and we have a final version and they did an appraisal waiver, they can't say, now I have no money. You're on the hook for it.
Right, we're on the hook for it. We have to know that this can be real. And a lot of times we have to provide proof of funds, right? We have to show that, that money's in the bank. This isn't a false promise, just like the person that promised 50 over asking and didn't waive the appraisal. We're being legit and we have to back it up. If you don't show the money in the bank, you may not get your offer accepted as well. So you have to promise it and you have to show that you have those funds available.
We'll touch upon it a little bit. Those are the 2 biggest topics we see, people ask questions about. Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about title insurance, right? Okay. Title insurance. What is title insurance?
Okay, the way that I look at it, title, maybe not the most exciting thing to people, but why it's important to have it is because, you don't want to buy a home and find out that, there's a lien on it from the contractor that the seller never paid, right? So it's really important to, again, work with a good, reputable title company that maybe, your attorney sometimes will guide you with that, or your realtor. And it's important that you take it seriously and 100% get the insurance, because this is to show ownership of the home, right? This is very important.
I always tell my buyers, I personally would not buy a property without title insurance, right? 100%, because I want to make sure I'm getting clean and clear title to the property. Let's say the seller owes child support for $50,000 and there's a lien against the property. That's an issue. Right. So definitely, we always recommend title insurance. Right. Now, I think a lot of the viewers will have this question. Alexa's here. Why should we consider someone like Alexa to be our realtor on our next purchase, on our next sale? What does she bring to the table? Top 3 things.
Okay. Yeah. So obviously, I'm a really great communicator, as you've seen from this podcast. No, I'm just kidding. I'm honest. And I think it's important to have an upfront realtor. I'm also in the market day to day, so I'm very active, and I try to stay in my niche, right? So I grew up in Bergen County. I can say I'm an expert in the northern New Jersey, specifically South Bergen County area. And I'm not gonna pretend I know an area that I don't. So I would say that I'm a good communicator. I'm honest and upfront. And through my years of maybe working in the fashion business and doing things like that, I've become a pretty good negotiator. So whether I'm on the buy side or the sell side, I'm very number driven, and I do the best to get both, whether it's the seller getting what they want for the home, or on the buy side, going right where we think the seller will accept, trying not to overextend. In this market, it's a little difficult. But I just try to make the process painless, and education is my biggest value that I think that I bring to especially for first-time home buyers, sellers that maybe haven't, again, been in this market, and the last time they sold a home, it was a buyer's market.
My last question to you, right, is tell me something, a fun fact about Alexa that I might not even know, our viewers don't know, that would be fun to know.
Okay, well, so this is also a surprise to me because I didn't know that you'd be asking this. So a little nervous to answer. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, this is a fun fact. You might know this though. I have a very, very small part-time job of teaching Pilates in East Rutherford, but I only teach at 6 or 7 a.m. because I can't have it interfere with my real estate clients, right? So I'm also an advocate for, fitness and health and really mindset. And I think that goes hand in hand with being a realtor because, we have to be a lot of things, wear a lot of hats, a lot of times be your therapist, which is totally fine. I love doing it, but we need to make sure we're the best versions of ourselves to help our clients.
And I think we touched upon it in the beginning, right? The relationship between an attorney and realtor. The way that you're talking to me today is exactly how I know, because I've seen it. You talk to your clients, to our mutual clients. I mean, I think that's something that they can expect from you always. Honesty,
Right.
you touched upon it, communication, because you're great at it.
Yeah, thank you.
And yeah, you know your niche, right? Because one thing I know is that I always see you grinding, meaning talking to people, working for the best interest of your clients. We see it firsthand. So that relationship that we have, the attorney and realtor, I think you exhibit it throughout the whole transaction with the client, with the home inspector, with everyone. So definitely, just as our relationship is important, that same relationship with the client, you do the same thing. You do
Thank
the same.
you. I agree. I think, it's all about the teamwork. And when realtor and attorney have a good dynamic relationship, it's awesome, and it makes the process just flow so much better. And we do work with our lender partners and inspector and home insurance, and we have financial advisors. And what I really think helps a lot of my clients is being able to provide all of those services. Because a lot of times you have to ask around and you might not find the right people, but if your agent can point you in the direction of, hey, have a phone conversation with one of the people on my team. I generally know if they have that phone call with you, they're gonna hire you, right? They see my success of how many deals we've closed together, and I think that makes them feel confident. And it also means that they don't have to go searching and interviewing other real estate attorneys. So I think we work really well together, and you make my life and my job easier. So thank you, because I've been in deals with other attorneys, and it's not the same, right?
I appreciate that. I
Yeah.
appreciate that. No, we do have a good relationship.
Yeah, we do.
We do.
We do.
We do.
Yeah.
But no, thank you for joining us, Alexa. We really appreciate it. Definitely wanted you to be on the first episode because we value so much at the office. You bring something that a lot of clients appreciate, and we appreciate, right? So thank you for coming in,
Sure.
talking to us. Hopefully, we'll have you back soon.
Yeah.
And if you want her contact info, we'll put it in the bio. Make sure to reach out. We'll put you in contact with her because you will be in good hands. Thank you. That's
Thanks,
it for tonight.
guys.